PharmaVentures, experts in deals and alliances.
Hello and welcome to PharmaVentures Insight here in Cologne, Germany. On today's show I have Peter Fong, Associate Director of Business Development Oncology at Genentech. Peter, welcome.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
How did you get involved in Genentech?
Well, I guess going back to start with my education, I did my PhD and postdoc in bioengineering at Yale University. And while I was there, I was a co-inventor in technology that we ultimately spun out into a startup called Therapeutics that I was a co-founder of. I left Yale to go to Carigent and worked there as the chief scientific officer, and then Carigent ultimately, its IP got licensed to a larger drug delivery company. I then went to Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center, where I did a number of things, including putting together their new ventures and business development group, where I ran their seed fund. I also oversaw their portfolio of startups, negotiated institutional business development deals, and all of that sort of culmination of both the science of oncology, the business of oncology, led me to go to business development at Genentech in their oncology business development group. So that's how I got to Genentech. I've been there for about 2.5 years now.
Right. So you got into the BD side of things sort of pretty early on.
Yeah. I mean, really, I had no training in BD, but when I started my own company, that was a lot of education in business, in the business of biotech.
Right.
And so that was kind of how I transitioned over to the business side.
Okay, and so in your role at Genentech, and you're looking for things to bring into Genentech, and what sort of things in the oncology franchise is Genentech looking at right now?
Well, I mean, we've been in oncology for a long time, and we generally like to focus broadly in oncology, but clearly cancer immunotherapy is an area of focus for us, like it is for, I think, a lot of players probably in the oncology space. In cancer immunotherapy, we're looking at T-cell targets, non-T-cell targets, and anything that we can really find, any molecule, any science, any therapeutic that can really help the immune system go after tumors.
Right.
And outside of cancer immunotherapy, we also have a pretty broad-ranging interests. I mean, ADCs, as you probably know, is an area that we've invested in pretty heavily in the past. We'll continue to do that. Bispecifics, TDBs, degraders, oncogenic signaling, hormone signaling. So there's really a pretty broad array of areas that we're interested in.
Right.
But ultimately what we want is really great science. That's
right.
what has always driven us.
And does that make you slightly different from the other major pharmas in oncology? Because everybody else seems to be just feeding frenzy around PD-1, PD-L1 and other checkpoint inhibitors. So you see yourself as broader than the other pharmas maybe?
I think so. I mean, I think that again, our focus on science lets us think about things a little bit differently. I think we can go pretty early because we have a lot of scientific muscle behind us to help us look at early technologies. And I think that we also are, this deal BioNTech that we recently did shows that we aren't just going to stick with one format, meaning small molecule antibody, that we're willing to take risks and do things we haven't done before. So we will go broad, we will take risks, if the scientific case is there.
Is that just spreading the bet, or thought?
Well, you know, it's not. I mean, certainly there is strategy behind it. Certainly there is, like for example, within cancer immunotherapy, if you look at the cancer immunity cycle, you know, you want to think about, have we really hit all the nodes on that cycle? You know, are we thinking about how these agents are going to synergize off each other? So there's a strategy behind it. At the same time, we will be opportunistic and go after something if we might not have been thinking about it, but we could look at it and say, hey, this is pretty cool. Let's take a closer look at this.
Well, Genentech has always been at the forefront and the cutting edge of new science, so it's no surprise that you're still doing what you're doing there and looking at in a lot of areas. You mentioned a deal there, the BioNTech deal. Perhaps you could tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, sure. So the BioNTech deal is a personalized cancer vaccine deal. So just briefly in terms of the deal itself, we paid $310 million in upfront and near-term milestones to collaborate with BioNTech for the personalized cancer vaccine. And in that deal, we're going to share development costs equally, and also we'll share the profits equally. And really, the reason we did it, whether or not there are actually many reasons why we did it, One, there was a breakthrough in science. So the reason cancer vaccines, we believe, have failed in the past is because the vaccines were focused on what are called self-antigens. So the immune system couldn't really recognize these antigens as being non-self, meaning they didn't mount enough of an immune response. The breakthrough that occurred with BioNTech's technology was this discovery of neoantigens, which actually our scientific team, particularly Leila Delamar, is a leader in. So this also gave us a sort of a read on what they were doing as well, and also our scientists know each other. But this breakthrough is the fact that tumors will display these neoantigens on their surface that the immune system sees as being non-self. So it does mount an immune response. And in particular, BioNTech showed us that they had T-cell specific response to tumors in patients, and this got us very excited. Why? Well, if you think about the way T-centric works, it's an anti-PD-L1. You'll administer to a tumor, to a patient, and then it will take the proverbial stop sign off the immune system and allow the immune system to attack the tumor. That's amazing, but what if you could actually, on top of that, help tell the T cells where to go,
right,
which a vaccination does. So we saw this as being potentially a very powerful combination of a vaccination against the tumor as well as removing the stop sign from the immune system for a 1-2 punch. So that was one of the drivers for it. The other driver for it is that these neoantigens, we believe, essentially what it means is that PCV could be applicable across many different tumor types and many different patients. And also we think it can be broadly combined with our existing portfolio. And then the other thing that is just enormously cool about the personalized cancer vaccine and BioNTech's technology is it's individualized, truly individualized. What you do is you would take a tumor biopsy, you would then sequence the tumor to get the mutanome sequence. From that, you would then identify all the mutations in that tumor, and then from that, you can use bioinformatics and an algorithm to identify which neoantigens are there and which are likely to be immunogenic, and you can rank them.
Right.
And once you've done that, you can make the corresponding mRNA, formulate it to be injected back into the patient, where the mRNA will then produce the antigens in vivo and thus vaccinate or inoculate the patient on an individual basis. So it's really a phenomenal technology from A to Z. You're going from tumor biopsy to truly an individual therapeutic based on the genetic information you're getting from the tumor. It was extraordinary, and so we were excited about it.
That's a very, very interesting twist on the vaccine story, and as you quite rightly said, vaccines have had a bit of a checkered past. If that story had been around, the individualized story 5, 6, 7 years ago, nobody would have been interested because it was, well, we don't treat individual patients here. That's not how it's done. We develop a medicine and we treat everyone. So do you see this as the way forward in not just oncology but other diseases where you can harness the immune system? I
mean, I think that for sure the one thing that's becoming clear, not just in oncology but elsewhere, is the sequencing aspect of it. From an individualized standpoint, if your question is other ways of harnessing the immune system to go after disease. And cancer, that's clearly important. And I think that harnessing the immune system in autoimmune diseases and other diseases will also be important for slightly different reasons, clearly. You know, in some cases you want to keep the immune system from actually having autoimmunity. But without a doubt, immunology is hugely important in biotech today, as is sequencing, and as will be personalized therapeutics. That's clearly a trend that we're seeing.
And Genentech as a business, do you see that the business transitioning into being the individualized immunotherapeutic company alongside all its other capabilities, of course?
Well, I mean, you know, Roche, you know, we're a member of the Roche Group, Genentech is, and Roche is committed to personalized therapy, to personalized diagnostics, so it dovetails very well into what our overall corporate strategy is. And we are investing heavily in this individualized approach, this genetic approach. 23andMe was another deal that we did, trying to leverage genomic information. And again, the BioNTech deal is perhaps the best example of our commitment to personalized medicines. It's again the ultimate form of personalized therapy. So I wouldn't say that we necessarily have a mission statement where we, this is the only thing that we want to do, we're focused on this and nothing else. It's clearly not what we're doing. We're just focused on great science, regardless of where it is, what the format is, what the process is, that's what we want. But in this case, this was something that just really, we just said to ourselves, this is an opportunity that is just too exciting to not do a deal on.
Right. And that's the important message that should be out there from that you want folks to hear from Genentech, that it's great science that's important in areas where there's unmet needs, and you want to talk to people that are doing that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I think that's exactly right.
Peter, it's been great talking to you today. Thanks for being on the show.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
PharmaVentures, experts in deals and alliances.